K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Good evening. I hope you're having a good one. I'm your host, Daniel Stafford, and yes, you are tuned into the Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal. And tonight, well, we're going to dive into something kind of difficult. Being conservative. You know, we talk about being conservative in a world of liberal here all the time, but trying to define what conservative is almost impossible. We're going to do our best. Before we do, I want to remind you there are many ways to listen. Whatever you have to do, set this channel as a favorite, because you do not want to get left behind. If for some strange reason you do miss the show, you'll be able to catch the replay, so just sit tight. There is no need to panic, because, hey, I've got you. In the case you aren't already following on social media, you can find me over on the Twitters at Stafford Voice. Again, you can find me on the Twitters at Stafford Voice. Or if you need a little more than 120 to 140 characters to speak your piece, jump over on the Facebooks. If you're over there, all you got to do is just search for the Stafford Voice. Be sure to give some love to the station as well as our affiliates, because without their help, we wouldn't be able to hit the waves and talk to you tonight or Thursday nights. Anyway, you can stay up to date with things over at thestaffordvoice.com as well. Since you're already there, do me a favor. If you haven't already done so, up at the top of the page, you will find a little picture of Uncle Sam. He's pointing at you, and all he wants you to do is fill out a short 5 minutes. Actually, it'll take you less than 5 minutes to answer 5 questions. It's that easy. I want a little bit of feedback from you on what you think about the show and what you like or dislike. Okay, so you say you're a conservative, but do you really know what that means? I'll admit, if you get your information solely from the Twitters or from Facebook, you have no flipping clue what being conservative is all about. If you have just recently changed your mind in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years from being a liberal to now wanting to be a conservative, you're lost. You don't understand what it means. I am sick and tired of people who act like they're a conservative when they can't even remotely try and defend its principles, or even define it. There are a handful of people over on social media that make me absolutely flipping sick. Not to mention some of the Goombas that they're supporting for President of the United States. I'm sorry to say it, but yes, that guy, Donald Trump, is not a conservative. He will even defend that. He's not conservative by any means. In the classic sense, he's a liberal. Has been his entire life. He works the system just like liberals do. It's disgusting. He's not a conservative. And most of these people out there that claim to be are wrong. They don't get it. They don't understand that conservative is a way of life. If you really wanted to try and pinpoint it down to a handful of things, I'll give you 6, and they come from Russell Kirk. And if you don't know who Russell Kirk is, I'm going to challenge you to go out and look up who Russell Kirk is. Because if you're in the conservative movement and you don't know who Russell Kirk is, kiss my you-know-what and call me in the morning. He boils it down to 6 basic canons of conservative thought. 1, belief in a transcendent order or body of natural law which rules society as well as conscience. Political problems at the bottom are religious and moral problems. Number 2, affection for the proliferating variety and mystery of human existence, aka you believe in a higher being, somebody else is bigger than you are. You're not afraid to admit your faults and admit your problems to God or whoever it is that your higher being is. You don't get out there in front of the world and say, it's huge. I can't remember a time. I'm a good guy. I can't remember a time when I never needed to say I was sorry and apologize to God. Suck it! Number 3, conviction that civilized society requires orders and classes, as against the notion of a classless society. Liberals will always tell you they're tired of different classes. They hate being in the lower class. They want to be in the upper class or the middle class. They want to get rid of all of that. You know, they want to go back to classic haves and have-nots, where there are some people that have something, and because I'm a have-not and I have nothing, I want what you have. And it's your obligation to just freely give it to me. Well, that's not how things work. A conservative understands that in civilized society, there is order to things. There are classes. You work your way through the ranks and you're not afraid to put your shoulder to the damn wheel and work for a living. You don't mooch off the system. You don't make the rules work in your favor. If you have that opportunity, your morals and obligations to that higher being would tell you not to do it and not take the system for granted. If that's your way of being, you're not a conservative. Number 4, persuasion that freedom and property are closely linked, that economic leveling is not economic progress. Meaning, when you have somebody get out there and say, I want to tax the crap out of the richest people in the world and give it or redistribute it or accept it for government use because we're going to make government big. I can make it big, and we're going to build a wall, and we're going to hire so many guys to work the border and to fix the IRS and fix that and fix this. That's not how any of this works. Number 5, faith in prescription and distrust of, quote, sophisters, calculators, and economists who would reconstruct society upon abstract designs. Meaning, we don't trust politicians. We don't trust economists. We don't trust those people who sit there but in front of TV, in front of a camera, or in traditional media. We don't trust them because they're being fed lies. They see what they want to say. They already have their message printed on a piece of paper. They can't think for themselves, and they just regurgitate information. So many political pundits out there right now are kissing somebody's ass for no reason other than hoping that if he wins, they get a bump. They make a few bucks. Number 6, recognition that change may not be salutary reform. Meaning that things don't always necessarily have to change for the better. Sometimes, when things change, they change for the worst. There's only one thing in this world that remains constant, and that is God. He is the same today as he was yesterday, as he will be tomorrow. Look, many years ago, Thomas Paine gave us a warning. He said, I think it was December 23rd or something like that in 1776 or back in the late 17th. I can't even think right now. I'm so ticked off at some of these people who think they're conservative. They're phonies. They're liberals in sheep's clothing. Wake up. The roses you're smelling are laced with cyanide. Thomas Paine gave us a warning. He said, these are the times that try men's souls. And he later went on to say, if there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace. Do people forget this stuff happened? Oh, well, if you're a conservative, you didn't. You already knew this. Because that's what a conservative does. A conservative understands where they have been to be able to calculate where they hope to be. It's not just on one person in order to get by in life. No, this is a collective experiment. You were chosen to be here on this day at this time. Doing what you're doing. Are you making good enough to the promise that you made before you got here? Why did he say that? Who was he speaking to? He was speaking to us. He wasn't speaking to people around that time. He said it because he knew we were going to be the ones who are tried. We, you and I, your sons, your daughters, were the ones that would be tried. He would have rather suffered so we had a better day. You look at the Declaration of Independence, and at the very, very bottom is one of the most important things that is declared in that declaration. And it said that they mutually pledged to each other their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor. That is conservatism. That's what conservative is. Being willing to give yourself, give what you've already earned, give up your honor for someone else to benefit. Not to have it stripped from you. Not to have an overregulated, overburdensome government to say what you can and cannot do. You were given certain rights and obligations as a child of God to carry things out. You have reason to choose right from wrong. You have a better understanding of what it means to set yourself aside so that someone else may gain. So let's apply that few minutes that we spent figuring out what conservative is and apply it to a little bit more of the opening paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence. Those 6 things that we talked about earlier, I want you to think about them if need be. I will send you a copy of them. But in the opening paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence, where those guys got tired of being over-regulated, they got tired of being taxed, they got tired of being told to go over there and fight for something that you don't necessarily believe in, but do it because I'm in charge, and I'm better, and I can do things better than you. A conservative understands that nobody is better than anybody else. In the opening paragraphs it says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. And it continues on to say, we, not I, but we, hold these truths, meaning that they're facts. They don't change. Again, these are laws of nature. They don't change. To be self-evident that all men are created equal. Equal by whose standards? Nature's God. Remember that. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Well, what are those rights? Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Meaning that when they have a problem, they go back to the very people that put them there to represent them and say, what do we do? That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Their safety and happiness of what? Oh, that's right, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You see a recurring theme? Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. Oh, that's right. We need to look back and realize that not all change is good. You know, one of those laws of nature is for every reaction there's an equal and opposite reaction, or for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every change there is a consequence, whether it be viewed good for some or bad for the rest. You have to remember that. A conservative is not afraid to say, because I may benefit from this change, but more will not be able to benefit from it, we're not going to do it. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer. We're not afraid to suffer, remember? We're not afraid to work for what we've got. We don't need it handed to us on a silver platter for anything. While evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. I want to focus just on that last line there. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. Listen, it is your right, it is your duty to throw these people out. It is your right and your duty to provide someone new, to proclaim our future security. That doesn't happen when you have a liberal in sheep's clothing who just a couple of years ago was acting like a Democrat, but now, in order to inflate his own chest and to further his own cause, he's not a conservative. Many of these other people out there that are supporting him are not conservative. To provide new guards for our future security means that we are to look for the best of the best. Those who are willing to humble themselves, seek a higher guidance, and to humble themselves and be placed before us to say, what can we do to help? If you have someone out there that has continually gone against the grain, against their own party, and stood up and said enough is enough, that is the guy that you probably want to pick, unless you're a liberal. If you believe in overtaxing those who have worked for a living to get more than they can do with, if you think that's okay, you don't understand what it is to be conservative. Again, it's a way of life. You are constantly worried about the person beside you, in front of you, behind you. You're more worried about those around you than you are your own safety and well-being. You're not afraid to say when you're wrong. You're not afraid to humble yourself and present yourself to the Lord and say, I need help. I am sick and tired of people out there claiming to be conservative. You're not a conservative warrior. It's time to grow up and accept it for what it is. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I want to talk to you. I'm going to change the tone. I want to talk to you about something a little lighter. When we come back from this short campaign roundup, we'll be right back.
Well, I think the establishment actually is against me, but really coming online because they see me as opposed to Cruz, who is a nasty guy who can't get along with anybody. You know, look, at a certain point, you got to make deals. And Ted cannot get along with anybody.
Bush. I love my mother. Donald Trump doesn't know who he's messing with when he's messing with Barbara Bush. This is such a crazy world we're living in, where a grown man so insecure feels like he's compelled to attack everything all over.
This campaign has to be about ensuring that Hillary Clinton is not the next president, and that this person who is someone that's going to reverse all the damage Barack Obama's done to America.
The answer is to do what Reagan did. Go over the head of the media. Go straight to the American people. That's what we're working to do. That's why we're building and running a grassroots campaign to go around the media gatekeepers. We don't live anymore in a world of three networks that have a stranglehold on information. We've got the internet. We've got the Drudge Report. We've got talk radio. We've got social media. We've got the ability to go directly around and directly to the people.
All right, we're back. Yes, I'm your host, Daniel Stafford, and this is the Stafford Voice. So, let's change tone for just a second. Because, as you know, the last half of the show, we try and lighten things up. The first half of the show, we come pretty hard and heavy sometimes, and I'm going to admit, that was pretty heavy. You know, trying to define conservative being conservative is almost undefinable. It really is difficult. So, what's the opposite of this? Family, right? How can we have fun? Well, I know sometimes here in our house we play games. As a matter of fact, here in a couple of weeks, we'll be going over to a friend's house, and my wife and I, we go over there, and there's usually a couple other families, and we get together and we play games. I know, it's one heck of a way to spend a Friday night, but when you're with good company, good clean company, who isn't afraid to police their language, or it's just, they're really good friends. I can't say enough good things about them. But it got me thinking over the weekend. What are the top 5 family games that are out there? And I'm going to give these to you not in any specific order, because there were, everywhere I looked, all 5 of these games were on these same lists. And so that's why I picked these. The first one I'll tell you is Monopoly. How can you not say that Monopoly is a good family game? Monopoly is a really good family game. You learn how to actually, that's what we should do. We should take up a collection and buy up a bunch of Monopoly games and send them to Washington so they can learn how to budget. Here's another game, Uno. You guys know that we like to play Uno here in the Stafford house. Matter of fact, you guys witnessed firsthand that the last time we played, and I gotta give it to my wife, she has beat me only a few times at Uno, because I'm a hardcore Uno guy. She beat me on air, and I didn't even realize it. That was a lot of fun. Here's another game, and our friends introduced us to this one. Had I been looking at this list without going over there and actually playing this game, I would have dismissed it. But it's a lot of fun. It's called Ticket to Ride. And the basic idea is you do have to have some math in order to, not Common Core math, okay? Not Common Core math. But you have to have some strategy. Ticket to Ride is basically where you have point A and point B, and you have to drive your train across the United States. But it's a little more complicated than that, but albeit an absolutely fun, family-oriented game. All the kids in their house absolutely love it. Apples to Apples, a little older, but still your kids can play. I would probably rate this as one of those, teenage and up games. Apples to Apples, absolutely fun. I have my own strategy. I don't even look at the cards. My wife gets frustrated, and so do my friends when we play, because they'll start flipping the cards over, and everybody looks around, and they're like, whose card is this? I'm the last one that has to say, well, it must have been me if it was nobody else. I don't look at the cards. It's like playing Russian roulette, but that's my strategy to Apples. Needless to say, I don't win a lot. This is one, so last on the list is a game that my son and I were introduced to, and the two of us have played this game, I can't even remember how many times. It's called Carcassonne. And it's one of those strategy games where if you're not paying attention, it looks like you're doing really, really good. But if you're not paying attention, at the end of the game, when it comes time to tally up all the points, you're going to get it handed to you. My son is really, really good at that game. I don't know how he does it. I really don't. He gets me almost every time. I try and strategize with it. I've tried to just throw stuff out there. I don't know what it is, but he does really well at that game. Him and I have had a lot of fun with that one. And Carcassonne, if you haven't ever heard of it, look it up. It's a fantastic game. It's a good family game. My wife has played it with us a couple of times. I don't think she enjoys it very much. She's shaking her head no. Anyway, it's a fun game. But all 5 of these games really are fun. Monopoly, Uno, Ticket to Ride, Apples to Apples, and Carcassonne. It's a lot of fun. Any one of those games, highly recommend them. Great for family. Now, speaking of family, my extended family, I call you guys my listeners. I call you guys my friends. And a lot of you I've been able to know for a very long time now. You guys have been there with me ever since we started. Ever since we started the show 2 years ago. So I count a lot of you guys as family. So these guys I count as family, extended family. RWNJ Funding. These guys are like family. Not because they help sponsor the show, but because they do things right. When they set out to set up a crowdfunding website, they wanted to do it right. They didn't want to play the PC games, and I'll tell you what, they don't. They don't play the PC game. And I trust these guys so much that when it came time at the start of the year for us to do our pledge drive, these were the only guys that I considered was RWNJ Funding. We've only got a couple of days left. We've got about a week left of our pledge drive. And it's the one time out of the year where we actually try and put funds together to help support the show for the rest of the year. We don't ask a lot. We really don't. But you guys really need to head over to rwnjfunding.com and check it out. Check out our friends over at RWNJ Funding. They're doing things right. They've got values, and they care more about you than you actually realize. The interface over there is so much easier than those other guys over at Kickstart My Heart or whatever the hell it is. RWNJ Funding is doing it right. Check them out. rwnjfunding.com. Now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do On This Day in History. We will be right back.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name.
I'm not the type of guy that jumps into anything without first doing my research. And when I was looking for a holster, I'll admit I was having one heck of a time. You know what I'm talking about here. You find one you like, you try it on, it would be clunky. Another one fits good, but costs way too much. So you try on one last holster, it was slim, lightweight, priced right, but lo and behold, you slide your pistol in, and it falls right out. So what do? You've tried all these mass market holsters. Well, go custom. I know what you're thinking. I thought it too. Too pricey. Wrong. My guy over at Rebel Road Tactical will not only put together the perfect fitting, hand-molded, hand-assembled, custom Kydex holster, but you'll get it at an affordable price. Don't wait. Contact Rebel Road Tactical today at 682-217-4579. Again, that's 682-217-4579. Place your order.
It's the dramatic reinvention of talk radio.
Here come the spy dolphins.
The only thing that can cure racism is Robert E. Lee's penis.
Who named this cat Limberbutt McCubbin? A Trump-Biden debate.
Plugs versus rugs. Real serious nonsense. The show's so bad, you'll laugh at us.
The worst podcast. We obviously hold that title.
Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
That's right, this is the Stafford Voice, and I am your host, Daniel Stafford. Okay, on this day in history, okay, one of my favorite segments to do during the show. Brigadier General Richard Montgomery, along with Benedict Arnold, led an invasion of Canada late in the year 1775. The assault failed, and on December 31st, 1775, Montgomery became one of the first generals of the American Revolution to lose his life on the battlefield. When Congress got word of his death, they voted to create a monument in his memory. And Benjamin Franklin was entrusted to have one of France's best artists craft it. So he hired King Louis XV's personal sculptor, Jean-Jacques Caffieri, to design and build it. It was completed in 1778 and was shipped to America, where it was received in North Carolina, and it sat for several years. Originally intended for Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Congress decided to place it in New York City. New York City! Yes, New York City. As it was, on this day in history, January 25th, 1776, the first national memorial was ordered by the Continental Congress. That was... I would have never guessed. It's a great story. Union General Ambrose Burnside assumed command of the Army after President Abraham Lincoln removed General George B. McClellan from command in November 1862. McClellan was removed not because of how admirably he built the Army, because he did, but because he was a sluggish and overly cautious commander, and that just did not work for Lincoln. So Lincoln wanted to attack the Confederate Army, which was commanded at the time by Robert E. Lee. Burnside drafted a plan to move south toward Richmond, Virginia, but because of delays in executing the plan, Lee was alerted of the danger and headed him off at Fredericksburg on December 13th. The Confederates were dug in, and Burnside attacked repeatedly, where more than 13,000 Yankees fell, with Lee losing just roughly 5,000 troops. Lincoln gave General Burnside one more chance in January 1863 with another campaign against, you guessed it, Lee. It rained for 4 days, labeling the offensive as the quote-unquote Mud March. Well, Burnside's men struggled on the muddy roads, while Lee's men taunted and mocked them from across the Rappahannock River. And Lincoln definitely had enough. It was on this day in history, January 25th, 1863, Union General Ambrose Burnside was removed as commander of the Army after serving in the role for only 2 months. An interesting fact that I'm probably going to get this wrong, and as a conservative, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong, but an interesting tidbit of General Burnside was that's actually where they came up with the name Sideburns. Because at the time he had the big, long, bushy sideburns, and so that's where the term sideburns comes from. Whew. 2 interesting facts that you probably were unaware of. The first national memorial, and then how it was that Burnside came to be relieved of command. I had a lot of fun putting those together. I really did. Something else that I enjoy doing is the last segment of the show, and that is Who Said That? But before we get to it, yes, we're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we will cover Who Said That. We'll be right back.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
Lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of liberty-conservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared. Not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whether you're an employee or business owner, when it comes to the correct course of legal action, it's the first step that is important. And make that first step with attorney Ted Hong. You need someone you can trust and has the experience you need when it comes to workplace and employment law. If you've lost your employment due to discrimination, false accusations, or being denied benefits, you need Ted Hong. Or if you're an employer who wants to ensure compliance with workplace regulations and labor contracts, you need Ted Hong. Ted and his team also cover family and property law and estate litigation as well. Ted has over 30 years of experience, and him and his amazing legal team will provide you cost-effective legal consultation and make the experience all about you and your needs. For more information or to set up a consultation, contact the law office of Ted Hong at 808-933-1919 or visit tedhonglaw.com. Ted Hong, an experienced and principled attorney you can trust. 808-933-1919 or tedhonglaw.com.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
That's right. I am your host, Daniel Stafford. Okay, well, that was a short little break, and you know what? That's how we like to round out the show. It is that time. I can feel it. Yes, it is that time. It is time for Who Said That. If you're new to the show, Who Said That is a little segment where we actually like to just let loose and make fun of somebody. Doesn't matter whether you are a conservative, a liberal, a libertarian, an anarchist, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. We're going to make fun of you. If you are saying something that removes all doubt and proves that you are completely stuck on stupid, we're going to bring it to everybody's light. We're all going to make fun of you. They're all going to laugh at you. That's right. They're all going to laugh at you. Okay? Tonight is no different. And actually, this is almost sickening. We'll see if we can make light of this situation. I don't know. I'm trusting a lot of you guys over in the chat room right now, but just let you listen here.
Mayor, this is Sunny Hassett. I mean, certainly you will have to take care of these children, because we know that lead poisoning is forever. It actually drops a child's IQ, and you can't mitigate the impact of an irreversible neurotoxin. And so my question to you is, the New York Times had an article about environmental racism and said that this is why this happened. And let's face it, Flint is only 70 miles from the Great Lakes, which is the largest group of freshwater bodies in the world. 40% of the people in Flint live in poverty. The city doesn't even have a grocery store. So isn't it true that because the city doesn't have political clout, that is why this happened?
Well, that's what many of us believe. And it's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about and don't want to deal with, because it's always a difficult subject. But what else can we think when you look at what happened? You know, we're in Flint, and every place around us is getting clean water. Mm-hmm. And like you said, we're in the Great Lakes state. We should have access to water. And for that switch to be made without due diligence being done as far as putting in the proper treatment and testing it before you give it to the people, that's a travesty.
Are you prepared to say that this was environmental racism, that this happened because the citizens of Flint are African American?
Not only African American, we also have issues. We think it's a class issue as well, because we do have so many unemployed people. So we're looking at this as race, as class, and it cuts across the board. And I believe that that's actually why the local NAACP, state and national, have all spoken out about this as well. We believe, had this been a different community, a rich community, that it wouldn't have taken so long for the people's voices to be heard, because this has been going on. It will be 2 years in April that we've been dealing with this. And it took a year at least for our voices to be heard. And you talked about some of that. It happened under emergency manager. And emergency manager seems to happen in predominantly African American communities.
Mayor, this is Sarah. You just mentioned the crisis.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you guys had enough of that. Yes, luckily I don't have walls made of brick, because I would have to bounce my forehead off of it multiple times. So like Ron in the chat room, I have to use my desk. That was none other than the mayor of Flint, Karen Weaver. She was being interviewed on The View, of all places. But how stupid can somebody be? Okay, look, I don't really want to get into too much detail here about how, because first off, okay, fine, she's going to make me do it. She admitted that this has been an ongoing problem for close to 2 years, and they haven't done anything about it. Well, Mayor, that's your fault. You let this happen. You could have done something a year and a half ago, 2 years. You could have done something at the very minute that somebody said there was a problem. You were elected to take care of these people, and you didn't. But they talked about something that I'm extremely confused about. I'm almost dumbfounded that this isn't a bigger issue than it probably is. I'm waiting for a movement in the environment where it rises up out of just pure hatred. I had no idea that there was environmental racism. Just think about that for a second. Environmental racism. Environmental racism. So apparently the water is ticked off, and because the water is from it's naturally occurring, it's in the environment, it happens. Apparently the water in Flint is really ticked off. Well, that'll teach you to bathe in me. Don't drink me. That'll teach you to pee in the water. Yeah, it's an inanimate object. We're going to use a really big word here. You can't anthropomorphize an inanimate object, dummy! I don't think the trees are ticked off and they're going to come and crap in your pudding. Trees don't care. Oh, I'm ticked off at the trees because the trees keep making all this white paper. It's ridiculous. Oh, yes, and if you're in the chat room, yes, Ron, I too once saw a cloud that was kind of shady. Yes, that's right. That's hilarious. I gotta write that down. I'm gonna write my legislative people, and I'm gonna ask them why clouds are shady, and if it's because of environmental racism. Oh my word! Oh Jesus! Oh, look, these people give guys like me hope. I'm not the smartest of the bunch, but compared to some of these people that we feature here on Who Said That, they're starting to remove all doubt that I may be a little smarter than I'm giving myself credit for here. Because these are some seriously dumb people. For one, she's an elected official that openly admits that 2 years ago this started to be a problem. 2, she blamed it on environmental racism. And 3, these idiots on The View helped perpetuate this false narrative of the environment ticked off and being racist. Because the population the predominant population in Flint is African American. They're blacks. Because they didn't come from Africa, they're born here, so you're American. Quit hyphenating crap. Seriously, you either accept being an American or not. Oh, I'm so confused. Just when you start to try and figure things out, somebody goes and completely screws up and throws something under the bus like environmental racism. I really should have checked the Urban Dictionary on what environmental racism really is. I doubt that Al Gore has any idea on that one. Listen here. Environmental racism is a big deal. Oh. Environmental racism, yeah, You just failed to do your job, and now you're in trouble. Trouble! Okay, you know what? I'm looking at the clock, and unfortunately that's all the time we've got for tonight. But please stick around, because coming up after the show here on K98 Talk, you're going to be able to tune in to the Rowdy Ricky Robinson. He will be joined here shortly with yours truly. We're going to jump over there and see how he's going to try and rattle my cage. I'm really looking forward to it. Rick is an incredible guy. He really, really is. I love Rick. He's done so much for the show. It's incredible what he does on the backside of things to make sure that everything works right. Okay. Unfortunately, again, like I said, that's all we've got for tonight here on the Stafford Voice. But God willing, we'll be back on Thursday, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. I realize that it's another debate night for the Republicans. Tonight was some stupid bingo town hall event where some crazy old white people were sitting around B19 or something. I don't know. Anyway, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. If we can figure out how to do it, we'll be here. We'll be there. You can count on it. Follow me over on the Twitters at Stafford Voice. Again, the Twitter's at Stafford Voice. You can look me up on the Facebook. If you need a little more than 120 to 140 characters to speak your piece, all you got to do is just search for the Stafford Voice. Again, it's that easy. And if for some strange reason you want to email any questions or comments or concerns of what's happening, or if there's a story or you've got an idea that we really need to bring up here on the show, you can email those to me at the staffordvoice@gmail.com. Again, that's the staffordvoice@gmail.com. And look, I want to thank each one of you for tuning in tonight. Your time means so much to me to be able to sit there and tune in. Hopefully you learned something tonight. I know I did. I learned about Burnside and the first memorial. That stuff was really cool. And I learned about environmental racism. Environmental racism, new to me, had no idea. Anyway, you know what? Thanks so much for your time tonight. And until next time, thanks and God bless.